Welcome back to Professor Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be giving extensive DD into NSPR. So first I'm going to be going through short-term analysis one day, and then I'm going to go through 1 hour intervals, and then I'm going to move forward towards the company's website, upcoming catalysts, and my thoughts on the company's actual performance in terms of the financials. So I'm going to be doing a bit more extensive than usual, so it might be a little bit longer video. But first things first, we're going to do 1 month, 1 day period. We're going to be looking into first thing, the MACD. We can see a good growth there in terms of somewhere around here. A bit of a reversal has been somewhat confirmed, and you can see a good growth in that level. You get to see the average directional index is a little bit low, so it's a little bit lower than I like, but it has been since ever the offering. So that's fine for me. The willing percent R is sitting somewhere around oversold situation, a little bit on the neutral side, so you need to check the 1 hour period. You get to see that the stock is getting into the average directional into the trading action zone, so that's where reversals are most likely. You get to see into the 5 days 1 hour period here that the MACD is declining a little in the after hours, so there's a little bit of pullback, but I'll show you in level 2 data why I think that is. In terms of the average directional index, it seems to have really good strength in terms of the power and the upwards movements. You get to see that the stock is coming into the trading action zone, so reversal is likely in there. It's above the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA, which is amazing news for me. Going forward to the current moving averages here in blue, you can see that the stock is trading on the bottom half, so it might actually see a little bit of a jump later on towards a little bit towards the positive side. And for this stock here, you get to see a little bit in terms of the movements in RSI. It's sitting somewhere very close to the oversold part, which is a good news for us. In terms of the actual trend lines, I've actually drawn something like this quite before, and you get to see that it's actually on an uptrend that is held quite nicely in the past. Now, it did have a wedge at some point somewhere, and I'll play it here into the 1 month, 1 hour period. And then I'm going to zoom out back into it. It did have a wedge somewhere around here, so going back to 3 months 1 day, you get to see it somewhat kind of didn't play that nicely, but it's still seen a jump after that. Moving on to quickly the Fibonacci retracements, and then I'm gonna move in turn for the stock. For the company itself. So Fibonacci retracements has this stock at 0.55 for the first hit, and then 0.66 for the second hit. In terms of supports and resistances, we get to see that the stock is sitting somewhere around 0.48 resistance at the current, support at the current moment, and 0.5 seems to be the current resistance, and then following that comes in around 0.54, I believe. Yeah, we'll have to go a little bit behind to try to determine that, somewhere in 0.52, and then above that 0.55. Now, going towards the company's details here, I'm going to be looking at it quickly. So first things first, coming into their presentation, I'm going to be very quick in terms of that. So not a lot to see. Well, there is actually a lot to see here, but I've covered it in my last video. Just a bit of catalysts that I do expect. There's a bunch here, for instance, demonstrating superiority on CGuard. So I expect a little bit of different PRs to be released in order to gain that kind of confidence. Grow above market in those served. Launch CGuard in Brazil. Complete CGuard IDE approval for the US. So that's actually pending right now. And the expectations was that it's actually been already submitted, and we should hear back in any day now. Brazil, launching CGuard in Brazil, the application for that is also in the way. So we expect as well a bit of an approval there. Initiate CGuard registration in China with partners, so another PR there, and we know advanced distribution options in Japan. And we know any of these coming in, the market would love these as a good PR. Now, in terms of different, basically patents pending, they have 3 pending in the US and 14 in the rest of the world, and they are holding quite a bit for the time being. In terms of different businesses they're looking to acquire or merge with, there's a bunch here, and that seems to be as well a good catalyst in the past for companies merging and acquiring. The competition is trading somewhere around $40 per share. So that's around 100 times more than what you're looking at. And it's something very important to note here is 13.9 million in cash, and I'll mention why that's important in the end of this video. Going quickly here, we get to see, well, first things first, they're going to have another meeting. Well, the annual meeting is going to happen on August 31st with a bit of stuff being voted on. This one here, this PR has been released quite a little bit behind on June 25th, so at the end of June, and it basically says post-procedure 24 to 48 hours, the CGuard arm was observed to have 78% reduction in the average volume of new cerebral lesions, a statistically significant improvement of 0.07. So that's actually really amazing in terms of as well their competition. They had showed 0 new cerebral lessons in CGuard versus 6 in Acumulink, which is the other kind of technology current in the field. So there's a lot of improvements here, and it's still trading at a quiet low level. So I think that's actually a good price to be catching it on around 0.4, 6 and above, and under 0.5. Taking a quick look here, we get to see one of the studies that were put on June 16th. That's the one, I believe, pending for IDE FDA approval. And it's actually recruiting since June 16th. And so we should be kind of expecting PRs in terms of that. They do have as well a few ones that one of them is actually active but stopped recruiting. So it's actually running as we go. So good news coming in out of these ones here since they have multiple different clinical trials. Now, as well, there's an article that I've seen here quite a little just recently in terms from Investor Observers. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it does say that it actually surpassed 80% of their stocks based on the data combined today, and that the average price target for is around $2 by analysts. Now, I take this with a grain of salt, so I'll show you what I told you what I expect this price to be, perhaps somewhere around 0.65, but that's just based on different previous trading averages. Now, quickly going on, we get to see here on level 2 data, you get to see why the stock has been trading on and off recently. You get to see here there's a big fish here around 0.4725, someone putting in an order on 104,000, and I've seen this for quite almost all day today where buys are way massive than sells, and this has been a bit of a trend. So I expect some really important things here to happen in terms of the stock. At least that's just an expectations that I see in. Moving on to the company's financial, where that $13 million becomes very important, is you get to see, well, first things first, I want to mention here quickly, you get to see that the annual earnings from year to year went from negative $1,750, negative $16, negative $4.80 per share. So there's a massive growth that we've seen there. Going to quarterly, you get to see that data is also the same, with the last quarter being on 2020. That's with COVID going on, they still saw growth, and they've beat different earning estimates almost for the last 4 or 5 quarters. So that's amazing news there. In terms of the different cash flow, we get to see that there's no kind of indication there that says that with the cash on hand that they're going to be seeing any kind of offering sometime soon. So that's good news for us. Amazing. So make sure to mention down what do you think in the comments below about the stock. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day.